Welcome to New 41, which happens in week 6. This is a continuation of the work with square roots that we're doing in the last couple videos. All right, so we're heading right into adding and multiplying. Because we've added and multiplied and we kind of put it together in the last video, we're just kind of steamrolling right ahead. If you have questions on either the adding or the multiplying piece, definitely check out New 40, New 39. I think definitely those two videos. I don't know if it goes back one further, but those two videos will definitely be helpful for this. All right, so looking at this, we are basically doing all the things we've already done all through this course, and we're just going to put it with radicals. So we've seen, number one, we've seen double distributing problems. We just haven't seen them with square roots yet, okay? So we need to double distribute this, and we start with the 2. So the 2 goes out to the 4, and it goes out to the root 3. So basically I get 2 from there, and then I'm going to come back and do it here, and I get 2 from there. Okay, hopefully I'll be able to simplify, but maybe not. All right, and when I say simplify, I mean combine like terms. So 2 times 4 gives me 8. 2 times negative root 3 gives me minus 2 root 3. Root 5 times 4 gives me positive 4 root 5. Notice I want to put the number that's not in the radical in front of it. If I put it behind it, it'll somewhat get lost. It might look like root 54, right? If I write this, all right, you might not be able to tell where the root ends, where the coefficient begins. So if I'm doing root 5 times 4, I pop the 4, which is the coefficient, out in front. So positive 4 root 5. And then positive root 5 times negative root 3. Remember, if you have 2 roots, you can multiply them together and put it under the root. So that is a negative root 15. Okay, looking at this, and this are all different. This does not, the 3 does not simplify, the 5 does not simplify, the 15 does not simplify. Again, when I'm saying does it simplify, I am looking at this list, that diagonal on your multiplication chart, or the list that I just very quickly write from that diagonal, the 2 times 2, the 3 times 3, 4 times 4, 5 times 5, 6 times 6, 7 times 7, 8 times 8, 9 times 9, 10 times 10, 11 times 11, 12 times 12, and so on and so forth, okay? Can one of those numbers divide into it without creating a decimal situation? No. Okay, so for this one, you're actually all done. Nothing simplifies because nothing simplifies and nothing is common. So you are all done. And this happens. It's not, it's actually, we prefer it because it's easier. You don't have any more work to do, but sometimes it looks a little bit funny just because we don't always expect to have an answer with 4 terms. All right, we have to remember that when we have this with subtraction or addition, that does not mean we just put it into both terms. That actually means we have this whole thing twice. Did that trick anyone? I hope not. Okay, so that means we have that thing twice, and that means that we are double distributing. So we're taking the root 2 to both of those. We are taking the root 6 to both of those, and then we are hopefully simplifying. So root 2 times root 2 gives me root 4. Root 2 times negative root 6 gives me minus root 12. Negative root 6 times root 2 gives me a negative root 12. And then negative root 6 times negative root 6 gives me a positive root 36. All right, so simplifying. That turns into just a 2 because it's a perfect square. These are like terms. I'm going to have to simplify that 12, but right now I just want to get them together. So it's minus 2 root 12 because I have 1 and then I have another. They're both negative. And then this simplifies to plus 6. So I end up with this and this. 2 plus 6 gives me 8 minus 2 root 12. Now, I said before, this breaks down into root 4 and root 3. Root 4 turns into a 2. So that's 2 root 3, but I have to bring this 2 down. So that's 2 times 2 root 3. But I have to remember to bring all of this stuff down too. This is where those templates are very helpful because, you know, what you start with, what you have. It all is there and you don't want to lose anything. So I just work left to right and I kind of make arrows for everything that is, you know, not being used at the moment, but I still need. So I end up with 8 minus 4 root 3. And that is my answer. All right. Somehow my numbering got all messed up, so I apologize here. That was number 2. Yeah, that should have been number 2. This should be number 3. But anyway, this one, we're going to take this and we're going to distribute it in. Okay. So I get 3 root 18 plus 2 root 9, because 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 6 gives me 18. Okay, I have work to do because this simplifies and this simplifies. Now, the root 9 simplifies nicely, and if I want to start there, I can. This ends up being plus 2 times 3, so at the end it ends up being a plus 6, right? Now, the root 18, we have to do a little bit more work. I'm going to drag down the 3. This ends up being root 9 and root 2. That ends up being 3 root 2. But I have to bring down the 3, so that ends up being 9 root 2 plus the 6 from before. And that's my final answer because I cannot put those together. All right, so for this next one, I can't even call them the numbers because they're so off. 2, 3, 4, 5. We get back to 6 and it's good to go. All right, so for this one, we're going to double distribute. So we have 6 times 3 times root 2. We have 2 root 6 times 3 times root 2. So we're going to have these 2 terms and then these 2 terms. Okay, 6 times 3 gets us 18. 6 times root 2 gets us plus 6 root 2. 2 root 6 times 3 gets us plus 6 root 6. And then 2 root 6 times root 2 gets us plus 2 root 12. So 18, there's nothing I can do with it. That's going to get dragged down. 6 root 2, there's nothing I can do with it. That's going to get dragged down. 6 root 6, there's nothing I can do with it. That's going to get dragged down. Now, whether I can combine it with something, that's a different story. 12, I can break down. So that's going to turn into root 4 times root 3. that simplifies into 2 root 3. I drag down that other 2. So this ends up being 4 root 3. If you look, 18 plus 6 root 2 plus 6 root 6 plus 4 root 3, there's nothing that has the same square root, so I am done. All right, number 3, which is not number 3, it's really number 5. We have just 3 things that no multiplication, we just have to simplify to put together. This one, we don't have to do anything. It's already simplified. So we just kind of have to wait and see. 12, we just did that one. So we know that that breaks down into root 4, root 3. That simplifies to 2 root 3. And then we have minus 2 root 3. So right there, we're actually at 0 because 2 root 3 minus 2 root 3. And then we just have to see what happens with this 108. So 108, I believe that's 36 times 3. So 36 times 3, 36 turns into a 6. Root 3, it's a plus. All right, so we had 2 root 3 minus 2 root 3 plus 6 root 3. The 2 root 3's knock out, and it leaves me with 6 root 3. And I'm all done. All right, and then finally, we get to number 6, the real number 6. And we have to distribute this 2 root 3 to the root 15 and the root 60. So we get 2 root 45 plus 2 root 180. Now here's one where the 60 we could have simplified at the beginning, but ultimately if we simplify it, then we would have to simplify again at the end. So while it might be a little bit bigger here, we can end up, we end up only having to simplify it once. So 45 ends up being 9 and 5. We have to drag that 2 down. So it's 2 times 3 root 5, which ends up being 6 root 5. 180 ends up being, I believe, 36 times 5. 15, yes. All right, so root 36 times root 5, drag down the 2. So it's 2 times 6 root 5. So it's 12 root 5, and we were adding. So 6 root 5 plus 12 root 5, that's 18 root 5. And we are done. All right, so those were definitely some of the challenge problems, but if you know how to multiply the square roots and you know how to add the square roots, then you should be able to put them together and again, give yourself that challenge of, testing yourself a little bit on doing them both at the same time.